All right. I have started the live streaming and the recording because your second's way. Oh, now you're 7. I don't know if you're waiting
Okay.
for anyone else, though.
We have a quorum, so we can start. Do you know if we're gonna be missing anyone, Cheryl?
Not that I know of.
Okay, let's get going. We've called the meeting to order. We next want to approve the minutes of February 3rd, both public and executive session minutes. Do I hear that motion?
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
I abstain. I wasn't.
Very good, thank you. So we have this long list of correspondence and a lot of paper in our packets. And before I go down the list, I thought this is by far the biggest correspondence section we've ever had, but I think it's indicative of a trend. And I wonder if it's all truly necessary. For instance, we have in here 4 newsletters, announcement type things, which rather than print out all that paper, maybe we could just say, we received the following newsletters and announcements. And if you want a copy of it, you know, go to these organizations and get the link. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
Fine with me.
I
Yeah,
agree with you.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. And then some of the other stuff I'm thinking might be more useful put into the topic that it relates to, whether it's, for instance, the stuff from Joe DeSantis about both the bank account and the NRCS payment. That maybe that can go to Treasury, to the money part of the report. What do we think about that?
I like that too.
Good idea.
Yeah. So can you try and think about things in those terms, Cheryl? Is that all right with you?
Sure.
Great. Thank you.
Can we
So-
condense the, can we condense the farm related
Yes.
stuff? So
Yes, we can.
somebody
I will condense. And I've already mentioned the 4 newsletter announcement things, which are the Rhode Island Land Trust Council newsletter, the USDA Agricultural Conservation Easement Program, agricultural land easement. That's actually an important announcement because it means they have money that they want to spend. So it's good for us to be aware of that. Then there's the Rhode Island Green Infrastructure thing. Not particularly interesting to me, and nor do I believe it applies to us a whole lot. And then the NRCS oyster thing. Again, it's an NRCS thing, so we get it, but maybe not of immediate importance to us. Then the next big chunk of information were all these inquiries about land, and the way that came about was Carter, like, either didn't understand something or anyway, he sort of jumped the gun, and he put out a listing, which is in your packet here, on a farm website. I don't know which one or which ones, plural. But anyway, it's actually, to me, kind of good news that we got all these responses. I mean, it's kind of exciting to know that all these people are out there looking at the websites and are interested. So I think while they created some work, which I immediately handed off to Rusty, who luckily put his hand up to volunteer to respond to all these people. Thank you, Rusty. I think overall it was a good experiment and a really amazing, to me anyway, response. So I think it bodes well for the future as we get deeper into trying to free up more land. Then there was the idea that we got to do another NRCS email, this one more personal. One of the girls up there telling us we need to do our NRCS monitoring. That's an annual thing. Carol is on that. Couple things from Ned about little expenses associated with the outreach stuff. So like in a case like that, Cheryl, I don't think we even need to mention an email like that because we've voted the money. And as long as the money is in a budget that we've approved, it's really not something we need to look at every month at a board level, I don't think.
I just have to check with Carol because where it comes in as correspondence to the trust, I would think we'd have to have it somewhere. Like
Well, we'll
formally.
have a record of it, but we don't have to have it on the agenda. Is it, or you're telling me if I'm wrong there, Carol Wardell, but what,
Well, what you could do is just list it as a consent item and make a notation that you're just accepting it for filing. That there won't be any action on it. It's just a listing of correspondence that's been received.
okay. Then we had. Then that's really the, this final item. I don't know what to do with it. The Casey Merkel, it's a collegiate level stewardship mapping thing. It sounds like. Carol Trocchi, what do you think about that thing? Is that easy to respond to? Did you see it?
I did see it through the Conservation Commission. I'd be happy to reach out to her and just ask what she's looking for. It may be as simple as sharing the shape files that I already have that I share with everybody else.
Yeah,
I'm
with
sure-
your public.
I'm sure it's a GIS project.
That'd be great if you could do that. Thank you.
Sure.
Then there was some correspondence here about from John Berg and Mary Kate and me about what we're doing at PT Marva, which we discussed last month. To me, that would be more relevant if it were in stewardship and we were doing some follow-up discussion about that particular subject. So those are my thoughts about correspondence. That's really the summary report on what the correspondence was. Any further discussion on that? Or did I miss something?
No, the dedication to the Ponce family.
Oh, yeah. So this is an Arthur Goldstone thing. He wants to buy a bronze plaque that will go up in the town council, near the entrance to the town council chambers. You saw the email. There's a couple of ideas about what the actual language would say, but it's basically, thanking and recognizing the Ponces for the preservation of their land. He thought it, and it's really an item for the town council, but he thought it would be strengthened if we sent the town council a resolution that we approve of the idea. So do we, and assuming we do I hear a motion saying that the Ag Trust approves the idea of a plaque recognizing the Ponce's contribution to the town through the preservation of their farmland?
I'll move that.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? We good? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thanks. Okay, Treasury. Wayne.
All right, Treasurer's Report. This is for January 1st to January 31st. The beginning balance of $3,291,117.56. Transfer tax revenues were $78,440. Interest earned was $1,570.26. And rent, we collected $200. Monthly expenses were an overpay of transfer tax was $25,380. For a closing balance of $3,345,947.82. All right, now we'll move on to the bills. Fall River Modern Printing, $24.70. Mosaic Land Management, $205. Carol Waddell, $107.50. WB Mason, $146.05. FedEx, $27.88. United Postal Service, $15.80. Cheryl Katie, $2,467.50. Travis Law LLC, $910.50. Commonwealth Land Title Insurance Company, $375. WB May, $358.72. That's it on the bills.
I move we pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Wayne. And then transfers, right?
Transfers, we had 12 transfers for tax paid to us of $57,160.80.
And Cheryl, were you able to check the math on those?
Yes, they're good.
Okay.
So the only,
Yeah, there was a multi-lot one there.
transfers is down to 3117. And it's plat 1, and the document shows 44, lot 44-200. It's actually lot 1-4.
Mike, did you have a chance to look at the 3111, all those lots?
I did look at those. I mean,
I didn't, and they're okay, they exist?
yeah. It's quite.
They're little tiny things.
Yeah,
They're tiny, and basically it ties into the whole Almy question and that's preserving that area down there, but that's a different subject.
yeah, right, okay. Very good, thank you, Wayne. Okay, that moves us on to the note, so that bank account that we don't use anymore was closed by Joe DeSantis. We paid the bills. We reviewed the transfer tax, old business, subcommittee reports. Cheryl and Roy and I have been corresponding a bit on the internet-based hunting forums. I think, Cheryl, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I took the last message to mean that Roy is working on a sort of prototype.
That's how I took it, but I haven't heard from him.
Yeah, feel free to bother him about it, would
Okay.
you?
Sure.
Thank you. Outreach Committee, the mailer is in your packet. And we should take a moment and look at it. Ned, are you here?
Yes, he is.
So I like the mailer overall. Ned told me to tell everyone that those grapes are going to be changed to some other thing because there's only one vineyard in town. My other comment was the everything old is new again paragraph got repeated. But
I thought those were two possible mailers.
Yeah,
I didn't
two.
think that they were both. They
They are.
were all inclusive.
so okay, so Ned, fill
Yes.
us in here, please.
Okay, so you guys got two different comps of the design that Helena and Gail have been working on. We have virtually finalized the piece, and we have a printer quote. I emailed it to Bill if you're interested. And we caught a few little editorial things, and we changed the grapes to an apple. And we're really ready to go. We think it looks good, and we think it reflects well on the Ag Trust and the Historic Society.
So I would say that I thought the whole thing was outstanding. The only thought I had was the picture of the tractor and the Christmas trees. If we go with that picture, do we want to have a picture with that showed a field growing lettuce, corn, whatever, just more of an agricultural product. And that would be my only comment, that relative to the newsletter. The other was, I think the thing is fantastic, and I think that we should combine it with a thank you letter. And every month when we do these transfer taxes, we should send a thank you or congratulations to buying property and wishing them a new landowner well, and including the newsletter to everybody that pays a transfer tax.
We can definitely do that. I would recommend, Mike, that we have some other pieces in the communication cycle for this year that we could also include. And so we'll have some options, and we could stay kind of current, because it won't always be the year of the farmer. And so these things will get a little bit out of date, but I think your idea is excellent, and we should definitely put something together that's easy to use.
Yeah, I don't want to over and complicate it. Right now, we don't really offer any acknowledgement to the new landowner that pays a transfer tax. And I think this is a great piece to send them at the very minimum.
Good. We can definitely do it. We're printing 3,000, and we believe, based on conversations that Marjorie and I have had, that that's the right number. And so we should have a few extras, Mike, and you guys decide what you want to put in that thank you letter.
Can I add to that, Mike? I agree with that. I was hiking in one of the Westport trails, and I met a couple about 2 months ago that had just bought a house on Long Highway. And I said, "Oh, I'm very happy because I'm on the trust and you contributed this much." And they said, we're very happy to contribute to that trust. And we know that that's one of the parts of this community that makes this community so great. And we're happy to contribute to it, which I thought was an unexpected tribute to the Ag Trust. And it builds on, and it fits right into what Mike said.
Yeah, great. So sure, I agree. And this I think, as Ned points out, that what we include with our thank you note might shift over time, but as we do more pieces, but starting with this one is fine, and just instituting that practice, I think, is a good idea. So
Bill, do you want me to address any of those other points that are under the outreach project update, or have you?
Sure. Yeah, while we're here, yes, please do. So
I can knock them off. Farmer recruiting, Rusty and Wayne are dealing with Carter on that, is my understanding. So I'm going to skip over that. Johnny and I were talking signage today and going back and forth on some design things on that. We are using the Peckham lot as the kind of prototype sign. We are getting full-size prints on foam core of the signs that we think will work, and we'll have those kind of mocked up for you guys for your next meeting. And we think they'll look really good after you approve the Peckham lot situation. We'll decide what other properties get signed. Public access is in suspension while we get these other things done.
Great. Thanks, Ned. Wayne,
excuse me,
go
one
ahead.
point. Ned, why don't you contact me sometime before the next meeting? I got a few ideas on signs. Maybe we can kick it around a little bit. Maybe you won't like them, but.
That would be great. We would really like to do that. Oh, one other thing. Yes, I will do that, Wayne. One other thing about Peckham is that yesterday, Mike Jaguar came to John Gwynn and is ready to roll. So those guys are figuring out some details John wanted me to tell you, and so there'll be a further report on that. It's underway.
Thanks, Ned.
Good.
Wayne, do you have any update on the guy or people you were talking to about Amesbury Lane?
Yeah, Craig Hibbert showed a lot of interest in that. And he really hasn't gave me a definite answer yet. But we should, before the next meeting, I'll have an answer on whether he thinks he wants to do something there, rent it, or we got this. There's kind of a problem there that Rusty and I walked that a month or so ago, and there's a lot of big stone just above the ground. And that's one of the things I was going to work over with Craig. If you think he could, something he would want. And if not, maybe we could get somebody in there and try to pull some of those stones. They really haven't done anything definite on that yet.
So is this in the 9 acres that we thought was good farmable land?
Yes,
And so,
it's farmable, but it's not tillable.
okay,
It's maybe good for hay.
but not for sheep or for hoop
Right.
houses or,
It's not ideal for row crops right now. It could maybe with a little bit of work. It could be a
I'm
nice.
just concerned that we've sort of had this outreach, and this is the first time we've had additional land that we could offer outside farmers, and so I'd like to make sure that we've made this solicitation. We've had a huge response, and so it would be nice to make sure that it's not suitable for other people. That's all. I'm sensitive to the fact that we've made the outreach and we want to encourage new people and provide new space for people to farm, and that we follow through with that.
Right. Yeah, that's a point. Excuse me, Rusty. That if Craig, who does do row crops, if you can't do row crops in there now and doesn't want to take on the improvements and the rock removal in order to make it that way, maybe we do look at our list of inquiring farmers and see what of their operations might be able to go in there. I don't know, but that's a thought.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. When Wayne and I walked it, the stones weren't evident, Mike, when we were there, because they're just at the surface.
Right.
And we might be able to get in there with a big machine and pull them out. They might be so big that you can't do anything with it. It would be suitable for hay or for grazing livestock in its current situation. But all of this land we're talking about needs a lot of work before it's going to be really back to up to speed. So
Okay.
Everybody needs to, who could potentially be a farmer is going to have to be on that property, is going to have to be aware of the fact that it needs a lot of work one way or the other. But I agree with you. If Craig doesn't like it, or if it's not suitable for row crops, we should be looking for somebody else to move in there. But one of the things, maybe this isn't the right place to talk about it, one of the things we have to address is whether or not we actually have to put it out to bid. Do we have to, so to speak, do we have to advertise these like we do with the other ones? Or could we just go to Craig because he's expressed interest and is the first one in line?
Yeah,
Right.
I
I don't know the rules there. We should probably find out.
But I think that I understand the
Okay.
rules, but I think that we should think about that. We've sort of set Carter Wilkie up to advertise opportunity. And so we want to be sure that we have opportunity before we advertise it.
Correct.
Yeah, there is a little disconnect there for sure.
I don't think we have that many opportunities that we should have been advertising in, so.
Right.
That's not right yet, but maybe in the
That's a-
future. Right now, we don't have a lot. The responses I'm giving these people is just that. We don't have a lot of opportunity right now working on it for the future. But we do have some opportunity, and we need to, we've gone down the path with Tom Young and now potentially with Craig on these properties, and we haven't addressed whether or not we actually have to put them out to bid like we do the other properties. So I
Yeah, I
know
would,
that there's some good reasons that we could say we're going to sole source with a fellow like Tom or with Craig if they're doing some improvements to the land. I think we can probably do that as a sole source and be quite fine with it, but we probably should investigate what the rules are.
So I think that's a good point, Rusty, and I think, at least I'm sort of just observing the conversation. We should, as part of this, think about if we'd be willing to drill a well. Because it seems to me in some of your conversations, the question of water has come up and the investment to get water. And if we were trying to create an opportunity for someone to farm that and attract them to come to Little Compton, maybe we would want to consider that. I don't know, but it seems to me a reasonable question to talk about.
it's definitely a reasonable question to talk about. And the other thing to notice, and I think Rusty's point about someone willing to do improvements could be a sole source, but the other thing to remember is we've never had a competitive bidding situation, even though we do put them out to bid. So there's that. Okay, so we're going to keep picking away on those things.
Bill Carroll's got a question.
Yes,
quick
Carol.
question. Just with advertising, just for you guys to consider, I think there may be more local interest, just sort of local outreach to folks that are part of the farming community already, not just the people that currently lease ag trust land, but other smaller growing farmers in town. I think there was at least I heard some feedback that people saw it on a regional list and were kind of shocked because they weren't aware that, there might be opportunities or there might be new opportunities coming. So it might be worth giving a little time to talk around town a little bit more widely as well, so that you don't exclude anybody who might be looking.
Agreed. Yep, that's a good point. And I think we all agree that we'd like to work locally first as much as possible. Okay. That's outreach projects update, the stewardship committee.
Bill,
Yes.
Before we get too far afield, we had two options for the mailer. We should probably choose one.
All right, how do we do that from what we've got? One or two?
I'll propose one. Is that the one with the barn on the front?
Ned's got a suggestion.
Go ahead, Ned.
So Helena and Gail have gone pretty far down the road, kind of blending them. And rather than picking one from dated options, in other words, it's moved because Cheryl and I got it into the package, about a week ago. We've actually made progress from what you're looking at there. So rather than choosing one or two and making Gail go backwards, is it possible that it can be distributed for you guys to see over the next 24 hours in its current form? And then if you have questions, you could bring those questions to Bill or someone, and then I could deal with the design people.
Yeah, that's fine.
You have to be careful of a rolling quorum in doing that. So
So
you
I think
can submit a question like to me and I can forward it to Ned, but it can't be a question that is given out to everybody and everybody starts replying to it.
I wasn't proposed, okay. I
Before
defer to
this,
Bill.
before this gets too crazy, we do have a motion that was approved last meeting that says Bill is the final review authority.
Yep.
And that he can approve whatever it is and go to print with it. But given the fact that there were two options in the packet, perhaps we could decide whether or not we liked one with more graphics or less graphics, because that seemed to be the big difference between the two. Or we can just move on and leave it to you, Bill.
So I think what I'll do is I'll get the latest version, I'll distribute it, and if we have to, if we have multiple feedbacks, we'll however that communication has to work, we'll make it work properly. And what I suspect is we're going to see the latest version and we're going to like it, and I'm going to exercise my given powers to go ahead and print it. But we'll see.
I think you should give us limited amount of time to comment on it so you can execute quickly.
Yeah, agreed. Okay. Carol Trocchi, Contracted Stewardship Services Update. I know some of your paperwork didn't make it here, but you can speak to us intelligently.
Sure, I'm happy to. So I did have a little report that was more of a broad scope for where we are on the BDR backlog and contract. We can discuss it. I can send it around and discuss it at next month if you want. It's just sort of the current hit list of where we are. I think you did get a updated spreadsheet that summarizes that same information, just a list of your properties. There wasn't anything that required sort of immediate action. It was more just that we're continuing to make progress, closing in on the backlog. I was charged at the last meeting to start working on a few of your new properties. You've acquired something like 17 new acquisitions since we did this contract in 2017. So the basic summary is just that we are slowly catching up, but you are not slowing down. So there is a growing sort of responsibility that you continue to accrue that have to kind of think ahead on and figure out what happens going forward.
So when does your contract expire?
So there's no expiration. It was based on your holdings from October 2017. So we've probably we're going to run out of time for monitoring after this current round. So that will need to be addressed with the NRCS, starting with the NRCS properties this coming summer. But with BDRs, it's been, we've still got some work to do. With new properties, you've been doing contracts for individual BDRs with me one by one. There are a few holes there that you'll need to fill. So mostly, I mean, you're continuing to make progress. It's mostly thinking about, what happens when we're done catching up.
So we started out with sort of a 3-year target to catch up.
Yes, and it's taking us more than 3 years.
Right. So what is the appropriate time frame for a renewal of the contract with you to do the services that we need? Is it 1 year or 2 years?
So we'll be looking at, for the monitoring component, you'll need it this summer. We'll sort of be finishing up the BDR backlog probably next fall, perhaps, or the end of next year. So it's something you have some time to think about, but you'll have to think about what you want to do.
Well, how about if we think about you proposing to us a time frame and a contract for the future maintenance that would, we would review it on an annual or some frequency in order to maintain what you're doing and review it.
We would be happy to do that. I've talked a little bit with Bill about maybe trying to figure out what the options are logistically and legally, what the choices are, how to make it as least work as possible for things to keep going and make sure.
I think fundamentally, I think we need to, we're gonna take a two-pronged approach. The current approach was included monitoring, included BDR updates, and it was based on a scope of work. And as Carol says, she's gaining on the scope of work, but she's not there yet, particularly on the BDR side. The scope of work side of the monitoring is going to expire. So what I think we should do going forward is break it down between those two things at the very least. And to Mike's point, I think we should, when appropriate, which isn't that far off, solicit a proposal for annual monitoring for an appropriate amount of time. And then also a separate proposal for completing the BDR work that isn't done, post the current scope of work. There'll be some. And in the meantime, I think we continue to do the very current work on a individual proposal basis. But so then eventually you end up with, I don't know what the time period is, but whether it's a 3 to 5 year proposal for that includes monitoring, and then a scope of work-based proposal that fills in our BDR information, and and then individual proposals as we acquire things. I think that's how it should work, and that those new proposals would start, I guess it would be late spring, summer. Does that make sense, Carol?
It certainly does. The only question that you'll run up against is things that need to go to bid, which I think requires sort of a request from you that is public.
Yeah, no, we'll do that. I think we have to do that to get a time period that's meaningful for everyone concerned, right? And that's fine. You've said in the past that you're perfectly willing to compete in the marketplace. You have a lot of built-in advantages, and I think it'd be hard pressed for a candidate to come in and unseat you, but it will be a public. We will go through that process. I believe we should, and then once we go through it, then we're in a very good position. So that's how I see it. So thanks for that, Carol. The new map is great. Is the new map on the website yet? I haven't been to the website in the last couple of weeks.
No,
Okay. How much of an effort is that?
it's on Roy's list.
All the more reason to bug Roy. Okay. Management plans, we approved that one last month. We're going to pass over that this month. PT Marble Preserve, you saw the correspondence in there. Is John Berg here?
Yes, he is.
John, do you want to chime in and give your Nature Conservancy update and a PT Marble update, please?
I was just down there. I have flagged some trees and patches for clearing. I thought I would reach out to Cody Helger and perhaps Lynn LeBrew, who has been doing the work, to get some bids. I'm not sure this is within Lynn's capacity, so I'm thinking Cody Helger's the guy. Basically, there's standing in the tower, there used to be a view to the beach and the ocean. And there also used to be a view out over to Chase Point, and there used to be a view over to Goosewing Farm. So I basically flagged trees in those three areas with the idea of making the whole area more open and appealing. And that's what was special about it originally, and to try to reclaim some of that.
Great. So once you get some numbers, come back to us. That'd be awesome.
Okay.
What else you got while we're with you?
No, it's that time of the year, Dunderee Brook. I walked with Chris Olivera yesterday. He's going to do some trail widening and clearing for us. if the trust does decide to put a trail connection in from Willow Avenue, just a thought, if you want to put that sign up and remember the Ponces, put that at the trailhead. People love farms, but I think they like trail access even better. They like them both. Lloyd's, we're going to do some mowing down there and try to repair some holes in the fence. People were kind of using that area in the wrong way. You may or may not know, TNC received a good portion of that property 15 years ago, but with the deed restriction. So we can't provide for public access down there. So we try to be good stewards and make the beach appealing, but once people cross the fence, it's really off limits. You know, I've got a agreement up in Tiverton to the north of Jeannie Bento, Kevin Sanford and his wife Debbie, they want to protect their 70 acres up there with a solar farm. And, you know, we'll fundraise for that in the summertime. And I've got a couple of gifts coming on in the Quicksand Pond, north of Quicksand Pond. That's what I got.
Great. Thank you, John. Thanks for taking on that PT Marvel work. The last stewardship item is Pine Bridge Ponce stewardship works. Wayne, you talked about removing the wall and doing some planting. Maybe any update on that?
Yes. I got a quote from Cody on removing some stumps. This is all inside the wall where he cleared maybe a year and a half ago. He's going to remove what stumps there are there and grade it off so we can keep it mowed. That's got nothing to do with the wall removal. This is from the wall in towards the cornfield. And
Okay.
I got a price from him from anywhere. It says between $2,000 and $2,500 to finish that end of the project. So I'll need if I want to.
Yeah, let's vote that money. Let's. Could I hear a motion to approve Wayne to spend an amount not to exceed $3,000 for the work at Pine Bridge Ponce, presumably using the Helger Tree and Lawn Service?
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thanks for taking that on, Wayne.
Now, next month, we'll probably have a figure on what it's going to cost to remove the wall and straighten that out. But right now, let's work on the inside.
Should we be bringing it up to Peckham?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna. Between Russ and I, we're gonna talk to Mike and kind of work a deal and see what he can do it for, and I'll come back to you next month with the figures.
That's right up his alley. That's great.
So I'm
Go
just
ahead,
thinking that when assuming that we do move the wall, which I think is what's going to happen, do we want Helger to grade out? You know, he's going to remove the stumps. So I don't know which comes first. If it would almost seem to me that makes more sense to remove the wall than pull the stumps and grade everything that's left.
Cody started the job with the tree removal, so I wanted to give him the chance to finish inside the wall. Now, if we get Mike to do from the wall out to the road, we'll try to make the deal so he'll be responsible for grading that portion and cleaning that portion up.
Okay.
That's.
So everybody knows what we want to do. I'm just,
right.
So everybody's tuned into the end objective.
Right.
Right. Very good. Thanks, guys. Okay. Acquisition. Helger Pinto was in executive. Nothing on driver or Kata or West or Ryan or Levine or Rice, unless you have anything on that, Rusty.
No.
Jack is in Souza. Joe is working that. Alvinus Manchester is in executive. Nothing on Ratcliffe. Nelson is in executive. Booth. Oh, Booth, yeah, I meant to call Michelle, but I didn't make it. So I'll find out and report on Booth next month. Westport Land Trust. I need to entertain a motion here for to accept the proposed donation from the Westport Land Trust of the donation of that property. How do we identify it? So plat 46, lot 49. And then we'll deliver that resolution and they'll make the donation and then we'll record it. Do I hear said motion?
So
Did
move.
we get all the kerfuffle about easements squared away?
Yes, we did. Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Second, David seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.
Aye.
So Cheryl, can you, when you do the minutes, or I don't know how I deliver a resolution to them, but maybe I just write it.
We can just put it in an email that on this date,
Okay,
the
so I can
board
do that.
made a motion to,
Yeah.
and
All right,
just
so
give them
I'll
the
write that
motion.
note to Ross. I'll copy you, and that should be enough.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, everyone. New business, Carter. This is the land for sale on West Main Road.
Yes.
So both Wayne and I have
Yes.
put out some feelers. One, Wayne talked to Cole Walker, who had interest in this property previously. And I'll let Wayne talk to that. I called the realtor, who actually called me this afternoon asking if we had any news. So there is interest on their side to do something with us if we are also interested. I think at this point, we would have to get an updated appraisal before we could do much more of anything else.
Right, and I would say before we do that, we need an application. So if we could solicit an application from the owner, maybe the realtor does it, but the value of the application is, it shows a minimum of commitment from them.
Yeah.
All they gotta do is fill out a form, but at least they do something. But the real value of it, in my experience. Go ahead.
We had an application, whether it's still valid or whatever.
Let's get a new one, and the reason is
I don't know.
because it sets up communication directly between the owner and us.
We had it. Okay. All right.
Please, it's really valuable to do that, and then it drives the process and it drives the relationship.
On my end of it.
You're
On
buffering there,
my
Wayne.
end of it, I talked to Cole, who is farming the land currently. And he showed interest in partnering with us on this adventure. So maybe it won't, but we'll try to get an application somehow.
I'll work on that.
Thank you, Rusty. So, this maybe this is a candidate for some of that ALE money, and or there's wetlands money too, all that property to the east, maybe that qualifies. So we should, it's maybe we need to get creative on this one, but let's put it all on the table. And okay, that concludes our regular public session agenda. Do I hear a motion? Is that what I need to go to executive?
Yes. Under, you gotta state the whole thing. A motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing land acquisitions / negotiations per Rhode Island General Laws 4246-5A5.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second.
Rusty seconds, all in favor?
Second.
Need to be very clear who voted in favor on this one.
Everyone voted in favor. So
Okay.
that's Rusty, Wayne, Mike, Ed, David, Ellie,
Okay,
and
thank you.
myself. Thank you, Anya, for coming. Carol, nice to see you. We'll see you all on the next connection.
Good to see you all. Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
And Ned and John.
I sent you the link, but I sent you two. You want the one that says correct executive session link. Hopefully you heard it. Okay, bye.
Correct link. Look at that.
Mike, you signed into the original one. You want to go to the other one?
Okay. God. So I did, that was,
That'd be a nice, we need to introduce ourselves to the new buyer anyway, because it's easy, but we could slip in a trail map for a trail even at the same time. That might be worthwhile. Yeah, what are we missing, Mike?
Yes, Mike and Wayne.
Okay, I'll start with the Nelson update.
Cheryl,
I don't need a vote on that.
I can hear you.
Yep, okay. I was waiting for Mike, but he left.
Hello.
Look at that, Wayne made it back.
Yeah, I made it.
I don't know how.
I hired some better help.
Okay, sorry, it took me a minute there. So do I hear a motion to adjourn the public session?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Carol and Cheryl. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Good
Good
night.
night.